Big final howdy from Texas, y'all. Matthew 28:18 through 20, English Standard Version. And Jesus came and said to them, All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always to the end of the age. Why have I started with the scriptural passage? Stay tuned. My research project is titled Charles Grandison Finney, Hero and Heretic. You'll remember from our studies that Finney was a prominent and influential revivalist from the Second Great Awakening, as well as an educator and abolitionist social justice warrior. And yes, I do know that I have just been guilty of anachronism. However, the more I find out about him, the greater the similarities to 21st century SJWs I perceive. He was highly admired for his aggressive stance for some and against other social issues of antebellum American society. He exuded the Jacksonian era's individualistic, enterprising, democratic spirit. He was also frequently imitated because of his style, tactics, and results. Any revivalist who has as many converts and garners as much attendance and public attention as he did will be imitated. We have seen similar accolades and imitations attributed to Moody, Sunday, McPherson, Wurtson, and Graham. In these respects, he was and still is considered a hero to many evangelicals. The problem was his theology, which was reflected in his methodology. He denied the biblical doctrines of original sin and the atonement of Christ for sinners. This was in direct antithesis to the Westminster Confession of Faith, which he, as an ordained preacher of the Presbyterian Church, was supposed to agree to and hold as authoritative. This made him a heretic to Presbyterianism. His teaching about man's independent, willful choice to obey or not as the only determinant to salvation placed him in direct opposition to Augustinianism, held by Protestants and Catholics alike, and places him squarely as a Pelagian, anathematized by all Orthodox Christians since early in the 5th century. In this assessment, he is a heretic. I have recently been exposed to observations that his rejection of biblical authority and insistence on his own common sense and understanding for an internal light to interpret God's purposes suggest that he may be a modern Gnostic, which the Apostle Paul in the first century church fought against and dismissed as heresy. If this is verifiable, this also makes him a heretic. My assertion is that he is a hero as well as a heretic. Sunday, McPherson, Graham, and Falwell imitated his style, employed his methods, and declared their admiration for him. He is a hero to them. Hodge, Warfield, Machen, and Sproul opposed his methodology and philosophy. Machen attributes error to many of the conclusions and approaches of fundamentalism to the anthropocentric gospel they practiced. This gospel error may be traceable through Finney to New England theology. Machen also categorized the modernist progressive social gospel with a similar humanocentric fault. The real question is why Christians who embrace the Bible as the inerrant and authoritative word of the living God for life and doctrine idolize him. My paper does not focus upon whether Finney is correct or incorrect, right or wrong in his conclusions and approach. That requires an entirely separate philosophical, theological approach. He is a heretic. A heretic denies the basic tenets of the group they assert an affiliation with. He lied to the Presbyterian Ordination Board. He claimed a commission from God to save as many souls as he could. Christ's commission is to make disciples, not save souls, and teach them all which he has commanded. Finney's gospel focus was misplaced. His teaching rejected much of what Christ taught. He denied the Trinity when the commission is to make disciples and baptize in the name singular, not names plural, of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, Trinity. I have incorporated contemporaneous original source documents from Finney, Hodge, and the New York Times. Historiographical, philosophical critiques from late 19th century through the early 21st century have been consulted for this project as well. My own observations and conclusions are woven throughout. Live long and prosper, Kurt.